Hey everybody, it's Amy, and this is Art Conspiracy. Welcome, welcome. Today we're going to do a super simple watercolor, and it is a bit of an homage to one of my favorite artists, um, Morandi, who did a lot of really wonderful still lifes with pottery and so forth. Anyway, let's get started. We'll just jump right in. Let me show you what Morandi looks like. This is his work. It's usually very simple and stark and simple forms. It's a great subject matter for a beginner because the drawing is relatively easy and the painting can be as well. I'm going to show you how to just simply get something on very quickly. One of the things that Morandi did was he didn't have a lot of perspective in his objects, so it's very flat at the top and flat at the bottom. And often all the bottles will line up in a perfect row. There's some jogging here, obviously, but often there's a sort of a straight line. So they look very abstract and severe and stark, but that's what I really like about them. So, okay, I'm going to do the preliminary sketch for you. So let's get started on that. Okay. One of the most important things I think is, first of all, do your research. I don't want to copy Morandi. I just want to be inspired by Morandi. So I looked up, I Googled vases and pottery, and I just found a bunch of different photographs. I never want to copy one photograph. Anyway, I had a bunch of stuff, but this is so simple. You could make this up even without a reference. But what I want to talk about right off the get-go is fitting everything into your composition. Now, I know I want to have my tallest bottle about 2/3 over. So I'm going to put, here's the top of the bottle, here's the bottom of the bottle, leaving room, headroom and leg room down here so that there's space in my composition. So here's my vase, which I'm just making up. I draw nice and light until I feel sure, and then I'll add some more bottles or darker lines. So then this one's going to be kind of a shorty. Maybe I have another one here, and I'm going to have these guys almost line up except for this one. So then here's another one. I'm going to make this one in this vicinity. I'm really ballparking, not being particularly careful. There's a little bit of an ellipse on this one. Maybe I can give it a little top. I'm drawing darker than you have to. If you don't want your lines to show with your watercolor, you can go very light or not have any line at all, of course, but I'm drawing it darker for you so that you can see what I'm doing really easily. Okay. All right. So that looks good. Look at that. I have beautiful cushion, a border all the way around the edges. The next thing that is really important to know is where your light is coming from. And you can look at a source and get an idea of light, or you can just decide where you want the light to be. So I'm going to say the light is coming from the right. So I know that this is going to be in shadow. This side is going to be in shadow. Maybe a little bit here, here. So I'm just sort of thinking it through in a very super simple way. Ba-ba-bum, bada-boom, bada-bing, bada-ba. Okay. Also, I want to connect these bottles with some kind of a shadow, suggestion of a shadow here. It's going to be longer because he's jogging out. And super, super simple drawing. And my plan for the background is to have a wash, and where it's dark, have the background be light, and where the object is light, have the background be dark. I'll just show you right there what that would look like. And it's really fun to do that with watercolor because you can get all those beautiful soft transitions from light to dark without having an edge. So there's my sketch. Pretty simple. It's really helpful. Let me go back to spotlighting myself. It's really helpful to have a plan when you go into watercolor, because honestly, once you start, water is like a living entity, an element, and it's drying and changing, and you're in there. So it's great to go in with a little bit of a plan, particularly where your lights are going to be. That's really helpful to know. And also where you want soft edges versus hard edges. Just think of the drawing in terms of what watercolor can do ahead of time. And then I want to say, once you get in there with your plan, then feel free to abandon it. because what happens is you get in sometimes and things happen that you don't expect. And that should be just fine. I mean, I personally don't want to be in total control of this situation. I want to be surprised. I want the painting to sort of talk back to me and give me trouble, and good trouble, as John Lewis would say. And anyway, so that's my approach. So I also have a color plan, which I didn't talk to you about. I'm going to make this is the star of the show, this guy, 2/3 over here. Anyway, I'm going to make him a bright color, maybe red. And then I'm going to have maybe a blue pop color. And then I'm going to have a lot of neutrals. And maybe this one will be white. A white bottle is kind of fun to play with. So let me switch gears and we will paint. Hang on. Okay, we're back. So I'm going to work pretty fast and with a certain amount of abandon. And you can watch or you can follow along with me. Try to keep up or not try to keep up. Just work at your own pace, freeze the video. I also may pause sometimes and just work a little bit and then you can see where I ended up. So, just work at your own pace. But I think that it is important sometimes to set a time limit, to push yourself to work faster than you feel comfortable even. Because things happen when you're under pressure and you just like, I gotta get on here. And Amy's like, only gonna give me 5 minutes. So we're going to have a little bit longer than that, but I think it's great to work with a sense of urgency. So that's what I'm going to do. The first thing that I do, let me change again my spotlight. The first thing that I do is I spritz my color with a little spritzer, and that sort of activates all the colors, which is really nice. I'm working with a very simple sort of travel kit, my pan colors rather than my studio tube colors, just to be portable and small right now. And I was going to do another drawing. This was my thumbnail sketch, but it was big enough. And I said, well, I'll just paint on this. The paper's good enough. And I just wanted to save some time. So one of the things that I recommend, now this is very simple, but I recommend when you're starting a watercolor to start with an area that you're not worried about. Like if you have a certain description, like these bottles are pretty easy, but if you were working on something that, has specific details, like work on the background first, because it like warms you up and loosens you up. So I am going to pick a medium-sized flat brush and I'm going to make a neutral color. Now, I often start with the residue that's in my tray. Like they're all kind of warm colors, but I usually have a mix. This one's kind of a blue. So I'm going to pick up my blue and mix it with my warm, and I'm ending up with a gray, a neutral gray. Some people might call this muddy. I call it dirty, but I like it. I mean, I like those beautiful neutral colors. And then I always have a test sheet here to see what the heck I got. This is pretty good. The only thing is there's not a lot, so I'm gonna try to make some more. And again, what I'll do too is I'll clean out my tray this way. I'll use up the paint that's in here, and then when I'm done, I'll just clean these out and start over. So how's that look? Pretty good if you ask me. Okay, so I'm going in with abandon. Look at that. That's a pretty gray. Working around my forms. I'm being mindful of my brush strokes, trying to make them interesting. In this case, I'm making them rather squarish. But you can also use a round brush and have it be smoother. And you can see that it's darker here, it's puddling. I kind of like that. Next to the light, I want it dark. So I'm just gonna let it puddle there, which is kind of nice. Again, I'm gonna just go around. Wow. So much fun. Look at that. It's atmosphere. It's air. It's wall. We don't know. We don't care. It's just what is around these bottles, and it's kind of fun. And then if you want to clean up your brush, clean the paint out, and soften something while it's wet. Do you see that? I'm sort of just softening my edges a little bit. And then if I want to, softening these transitions, if I want to pick up some darker paint and put it here or there just for dramatic effect. I can do that. And again, I blocked it in a kind of a squarish way, but then I'm going to come in with a cleaner brush or, not a lot of pigment, but water on it and just soften those squares. So it feels more like air. Or you can leave them squares. I'm going to do just something a little bit different on the floor. So I'm going to take my residue that I had and I'm going to add a little bit more. In this case, it's indigo, which is a very strong color. Oh my gosh, look at that. Very strong blue, but it's a little bit more neutral than, say, a cerulean blue. So that'll work. Okay, for my base here. Wow. Sound effects are good. Okay, look at that. Oh yeah, I'm going to go back a little bit. And again, I'm thinking about the edges of my composition, how this is going to approach the rectangle that I'm working in. And while I got this blue, okay, it's kind of on my brush. This is my white bottle. I'm going to make the shadow of this bottle blue. That's going to be a white bottle. And if I feel like it's a little too intense while it's wet, I might sort of pick it up a little bit with a tissue. Okay, so another bottle. Oh, look, back here is going to be that neutral. So I better pick this up while I'm thinking of it. There, I got some on my bottle, no problem. That's okay. Just painting, putting things around, seeing what happens, moving things. That's all good. Okay, I'm going to go right in for my pop color because that's going to affect what everything else is going to look like. So, oh my God, so much fun. I'm going to leave a little white that hopefully will look like a reflection on this bottle. Very easy way to make something look shiny. Just leave that little pop color or the pop of light. Good. Excellent. Okay, let's give that a little cap. Okay, good. Now, again, if I want to have a little variety here, I can blot this while it's wet. And look at that. Look how pretty that is. Just a little texture, a little variety. And also, if I want to have even darker, I'm going to take a darker red. And I can put that on the edge that's not in the light. Do you see that? Make that a little bit darker. Okay, doing great here. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to put in a couple more colors, but you don't get to watch. So hold on. Ta-da! I just realized that my 3 bottles over here are kind of leaning to the left. They're trying to get out of the composition. But anyway, I really had fun doing this, and it didn't take very long. I'm not sure, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Anyway, I want to demonstrate kind of how it is to work with a little fun and abandon and work simply. So just think about doing a thumbnail, a very simple composition, paying attention to the edges of your paper and making sure everything's going to fit. Keep it simple, keep the shape simple, and then figure out where your light source is coming from. Either if you're looking at something, you'll know where it's coming from, or make it up. Just have a light side and a dark side of everything that's there. And then start with something you're not too worried about, like the background or, the side of the barn, and have fun with it. And then get in there and don't worry about your plan. If something goes sideways, embrace that and have fun with it. So this is Wabi Sabi watercolor after all, which means we celebrate imperfection. So my bottles are definitely imperfect, but they're lovable, and I'm sticking to my story. Anyway, I guess that's it. Artconspiracy.net. Don't forget the net. Okay, I'll see you again soon. Bye.